welcome back. I'm Mike Quincy.
I'm Alex Nizik.
And I'm Jake Fisher.
And today we have a very special Talking Cars. I always say that.
They're
always
all
special.
though.
But this truly is special because we're going to be talking about Consumer Reports' top picks. That is the cream of the crop, the valedictorian of the class, the best of the best. These are the cars that wowed us in our testing. And we're going to just jump right into it. Let's talk about how we've had some new faces, some repeat winners. Any surprises from you guys?
Yeah, well, I mean, for various reasons, something like the RAV4 not being on there, right? Really because there's a new one coming.
Right. So reasons being?
Right. So
and they tend to sell a lot of them.
Right. So it's, we don't want to predict, but it's done pretty well in the past. So, but that's why you might see some vehicles kind of come and go, even though they might be otherwise reliable and known to be, pretty good vehicles, as we just haven't tested it yet.
Well, and also kind of like, let's talk a little bit about like top picks. And yes, they are the cream of the crop, but I think there's a whole lot of lists out there. And a lot of times don't be confused by lists out there because there are so many, everyone's got the best this and car of the year, whatever it is. Most of them are actually only about the ones that came out this year. So, so we're basically saying, you want to go out and buy a car, here's your choices. Not, I want to buy a car that just happened to come out in 2025 or something like that.
Right.
So we're looking at cars that may have been introduced a few years ago, but are great choices.
Right.
Yep.
They have some staying power.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, you mentioned testing, but it's not just testing either, right? It's our surveys and safety information, and it's really a holistic look at these cars.
These aren't the cars that we like driving the most necessarily.
Some of them.
Many of them are.
Sure, but yes.
But it's like we're also looking at safety and reliability and all these other things that are really important when you're buying a car.
And we're looking at these scores. We're not just randomly picking, I like that car, so it's a top pick.
Right.
So that would be so much easier. Can we start doing that? Can we? That would be awesome.
Yep.
And one of the things that you can't ignore with this top picks is the electrification of this list. Sure. They're all available as a hybrid or as a pure EV or plug-in hybrid, and that's certainly showing a trend. Wouldn't
and I believe that's the first time ever.
Right.
Where like every single one on the list is either a hybrid or an EV.
Right. Or all three, or plug-in hybrid, regular hybrid, or pure gas version.
Yeah. So. And to be clear, that was not a litmus test. Like we did not say, in order to be a top pick, you have to be electrified. No, they just happen to be really good.
Right.
And we're just looking at it. We don't care what's under the hood. We just want to make sure it does good stuff and performs well.
And talking about the evolution of not only automotive production, but of our testing, as more and more vehicles were offered as a regular, an internal combustion engine and a hybrid, we kept seeing this pattern. Like, wow, the hybrid version is better. The hybrid, we kept seeing it, whether it's like the Tucson hybrid, the Santa Fe hybrid, whatever, compared to the others.
The Civic hybrid.
Wow, what a topic there.
There's a segue.
And not only is usually you're seeing an improvement in fuel economy, but the rides sometimes get better. The noise levels get better. Sometimes the handling gets better. So it in the beginning, as we all know, hybrids were just fuel economy. And now they're really well-rounded vehicles.
Yeah, there's usually little, if any, downside, right? The one downside, maybe you get a car that has a CVT or something similar instead of a more traditional transmission, which can impact the driving experience a little, but it's usually cost, right? Is that a lot of these have some kind of cost premium to go with the hybrid or plug-in hybrid, but traditional hybrids, I mean, in some cases, like, the NX, it's basically nothing. Right. No price premium to go to the regular hybrid anyway.
Well, and even when there is the price premium, I mean, gas prices in the United States are pretty low. I mean, globally. Even with those low prices, most of them pay off because they're not that much more expensive.
And as we saw in the year-end kind of wrap-up for 2025 Talking Cars podcast, a number of people that work here mentioned the Civic Hybrid as their favorite vehicle of the year. And not to confuse, the year-end wrap-up with top picks, but let's dive into the Civic Hybrid a little bit because this is a vehicle that isn't massively expensive, but it's so easy to live with, easy controls, really good, engaging handling.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
And the fuel economy. We're talking about 44 miles per gallon overall. I mean,
and feels powerful.
Right.
It feels really powerful.
And it's not dull to drive.
Yeah, and it looks pretty good too. Easy controls, right? I don't know. It's not the only car on the list that's like this, but you can drive the car spiritedly, we'll say, and still get over 40 miles per gallon, right? You're not trying to hypermile this car, and you're still getting awesome fuel economy. So it's pretty cool to see.
It's quite an interesting driving experience. I mean, it's just like, it just feels like effortless power.
Yeah, you have a direct connection from the electric motor to the wheels. You're not actually dealing with the transmission in a traditional sense at all. And it makes it feel more like an EV in some ways. You're hearing the engine at certain times, but you're not feeling it because it's most of the time not actually powering the wheels. So it just creates this experience that's unique and great.
So as long just make sure we said it. I mean, so Civic is a new top pick this year.
Correct.
And it is.
It's not just the hybrid.
And it's not just the hybrid. I mean, when we look at, top picks this year, we're really talking about at the model. So, I mean, at the model level, I mean, there's a lot of choices, right? I mean, you don't have to get the hybrid, but hybrid's a really great choice.
Most of us would.
There's also the Civic Si, which some of us would as well.
Yeah.
I mean, what's really kind of crazy about it is the fact that the hybrid matches the Si, like horsepower for horsepower. They're both 200.
And I think more torque out of the
Yeah.
You never would have guessed that.
Isn't that crazy?
come a long way.
And it's just
no manual though. You got to get the SI for the manual.
Right. Exactly, which is a good reason to get it.
Right.
But again, it's fantastic
Yeah.
they still have that choice because that is extremely rare these days to have that choice.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic manual transmission too.
I would be remiss if I didn't say that Honda, the Civic also, the seats are not awesome.
It's not the perfect car.
Okay.
And seats are a big deal.
I think if Honda improved the seats just a little bit, I would have zero complaints.
Well, and this is one of these things where choose your own adventure. So you look at it at the model level. There's a lot of choices. So you get a touring Civic. It comes with leather. See if those seats fit you better. If you're buying one, the Civic Si has more of these kind of bucket seats.
Right.
They're a little different, a little bit better. So there's lots of ways to customize your choice and lots of choices. And of course the Type R has got different seats too.
Type R seat in the hybrid.
Jake, I don't see the Type R in these notes here.
Yeah.
Going off script.
John, we've got to test the Type R.
Yeah.
Make a note.
Yes, make that happen.
Oh gosh, if only like the director and the director of testing were sitting at this table right now.
I know.
Anyhow, so hybrid is a really a strong theme and a topic that is prevalent in the top picks. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm often asked, if I want to buy an American car, what do I buy? And not that we ever make our top picks list. It's not relevant to where the vehicle, the origin of the vehicle, or the
we're mixing metaphors already, right? Because the question when people say I want to buy an American car, what do you mean
so
by
what
that?
is an American car?
Yeah,
Which is always my response to that question.
Sure,
but in talking to super producer Dave Abrams, wanted to kind of look into the Americanization of the list, and we're looking at vehicles that are either built in America or in the case of the Ford Maverick, a Detroit nameplate built in Mexico. So you might make the argument, well, is that an American car? Or is that not an American car? But the Civic hatchback and hatchback hybrid is made in Indiana. The Camry's in Georgetown, Kentucky. Again, people might not know this. The Grand Highlander is in Princeton, Indiana. The X5, BMW X5, South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
It's a southern.
Spent a lot of time in there.
Southern Germany or
plant,
something.
yes.
I don't know, but whatever. So I think it's interesting to note for our viewers and listeners is that a lot of these vehicles are built in the United States.
And what's ironic is one of the few that's not built in the United States is the Ford Maverick, right? I mean, the Ford F-150 is born in Dearborn and Missouri. I think they make some there too. But it's what you're after. A nameplate's really easy to figure out the nameplate. But as we talked about before, we've tested Buicks that are made in China. We've tested Lincolns that are made in China. So it's really kind of murky.
It's a global industry.
It is.
Right.
It is.
Through and
And
through.
even if you think about the assembly, and we're talking assembly points, I mean, some of the components are coming from different places. So you might have a car that's built in the United States, but the engine is imported. So
The transmission is important.
It's super murky.
Right.
Yeah.
And talking cars advice to the audience is, don't get wound up about this, because
No, look-
we're in this global economy and stuff comes from all over the place.
Yeah, right. No, just try to find something that's reliable and suit your needs.
And so we're talking about Ford and the Maverick, and a lot of us really liked that Maverick hybrid pickup truck. It's just the right size. It's really good with fuel. It's comfortable, but really, I think what stood out to me in our top picks list is sort of the comeback story. That's the Ford F-150.
Yeah, that's a big deal here.
And while the last one we tested was the hybrid model, did incredibly well in our testing. 600-mile cruising range, which talks to me like no other car talks to me.
Big gas tank.
But it was let down by poor reliability.
Yeah.
But now with our new reliability data, it got better.
Right.
Comeback
hybrid
story.
and the regular version.
Yeah,
right? Both
and
of
this
these
is
together.
And this is what we see. So I mean, it's been around for a while, right? I mean, we're probably 5 years now into this latest redesign, and we often see this, right? They come out with a new redesign, and it's got lots of cool new stuff,
Right.
And then there's reliability issues. So a couple of years down the road, they work out the bugs, and this again goes back to what I was saying before. It's like, don't look at the list that say here's the best cars that came out this year,
Right?
Because those often are not the best choices. The real sweet spot is the car that's been around for a while. They've worked out the bugs. They're a little bit cheaper because they're not, I mean...
They're not the latest and greatest, and all the hype is on them,
Exactly
and they kind of chill
right.
out. And
Might have an easier time even finding one.
Exactly right.
Yeah, it's a lot of-
They're
lot of
easier to
benefits.
find. They've worked out the bugs, and it's a good choice, and a lot of people buy these.
The F-150 is the first full-size pickup truck that scored high enough to be in our top picks for many years. I mean, quite often, like, what's your best pickup truck? And it was often like the Honda Ridgeline, which is no disrespect to the Honda Ridgeline. We like the Honda Ridgeline, but if you're in the market for a larger truck, you want to haul a lot of stuff. You want a tow trailer, or whatnot. The Ridgeline can't always fit that bill.
Sure.
So listen, good on Ford for keeping at it and improving it. And I'm sure that the people in Dearborn are going to be super excited.
Well,
about
and
that.
the fact that Ford, I mean, again, Ford, they know pickup trucks,
Yeah.
and I think you could tell we got two Ford pickup truck top picks. This year.
And in looking at the reliability, because I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper, and looking at Consumer Reports reliability data and the overall charts that we have for reliability at consumerreports.org, is that the F-150 has better reliability than the Toyota Tundra, which, again,
Just pause on that for a moment.
really.
Yeah, let's think that through.
Yeah.
Toyota generally one of the more reliable automakers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Overall.
historically, right?
Well, I mean,
Yeah, the latest Tundra has not been following the Toyota trend, right?
well, and I think this also just kind of like highlights like how much we appreciate, our members for filling out these surveys, absolutely honestly talking about the experience that they have. I mean, it's not like they're like, I have a Toyota, must be good. No, they're relaying all of the issues. And we see this, I mean, they get a Toyota and they're telling us they have problems. We have cars that people love. Rivian is a great example. I love my Rivian, but let me tell you about some problems I've had. It's just, it's great data to work from that we could create these ratings from.
And as you mentioned, the honesty of Consumer Reports members.
Yeah, it's
admitting,
critical.
I
It's
love this
absolutely
vehicle,
critical.
but boy, it's been a problem.
And telling the stories that they have. I mean,
Yeah.
it's fascinating.
And when you think about the F-150, you can really option these up. These can get really, really expensive. And there are a number of expensive vehicles Consumer Reports top picks list. I mean, we're talking about, the Lexus NX, the BMW X5, the Tesla Model Y.
These are the best of the best.
But you don't have to spend a whole lot of money to get an excellent car. I mean, the average price of a new car is around $50,000. But let's talk about some of the more affordable cars on our top picks list.
Yeah.
We did talk about the Civic hybrid.
let's dissect the word car.
Actually, vehicle. You're right.
Because it's true. I mean,
Transportation. What is
okay.
I mean, it's
transportation?
funny. I mean, most cars are not cars anymore, right?
Right.
And when we talk about, Consumer Reports cars and talking cars, we're mostly talking about SUVs.
Yeah.
And, that's where most of the market is. But the truth is there are still cars. And if you go look, there's some great ones and they're affordable and they're reliable and they do a lot of good things. So,
We talked about the Civic, but the Camry, I mean, that's been on the list countless times, right? And it kind of reminds me, just real quick story. Earlier this year, I got back into our Camry for the first time after we had tested it. It's been months at that point. And we had some friends over at the house and they're like, oh, what are you driving lately that you really like? And I was like, you see that Camry in the driveway? And they were like, oh.
They thought you were joking, right?
Yeah, they're just disappointed. They want you to say like, oh, the latest Corvette or something crazy, right? And I'm like, the Camry out there is amazing.
Yeah.
And they were disappointed in that answer, but it's the real answer. It's fantastic.
$29,000 to $37,000 for a Camry.
there's
That's that again in the perspective of $50,000 for an average person in a car. That's pretty cool.
You
Get a lot for your money.
You remember the ad campaign years ago where it was like, "This is not your father's automobile" or whatever.
God.
I feel like I always think about Camrys because it's like, this is not the 20-year-old Camry that you had 400,000 miles on. I mean, they actually steer well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they actually are not bad driving cars, and they're all hybrid, and you could get 4-wheel drive and all these things. I mean, it's a large vehicle that's unbelievably efficient. That's kind of light on its feet.
And as I've mentioned a number of times on this podcast, I sometimes get SUV overload. I want to get into a car,
Pallet
a sedan. And driving, signing out the Camry was always a pleasure to me. It wasn't. We all have to spend time in cars, testing them, getting to know them, and some speak to us more than others. The ones that don't really speak to you, you don't really care for that much yet. Well, I still got to drive it. I still got to know about it. I never felt that way when I got into the Camry. I'm like, I'm lucky to drive this because it is so nice.
And they're not. I mean, even if you're carrying a couple of people, it's like it's so roomy and comfortable in the rear. I mean, even the Civic. I mean, it's hard. You can't even call it a small car. We call it a small car, but it's the size of a 20-year-old Camry. I mean, it is so roomy.
It's not
in
the
the
size
rear
of the
seat.
Civic that I drove in the 80s.
Exactly.
Right.
But speaking of small, I mean, the Subaru Crosstrek, 26,000 to 34,000. Again, available as a hybrid.
Yeah.
You want a new car. You want the new car warranty, the new car smell, that whole thing.
Right.
That's a pretty good entry point. The Subaru Forester, which we've talked about endlessly on this podcast, $29,000 to $43,000.
And now available as a hybrid.
I was totally wowed by the hybrid version of the Forester. I got to tell you, I thought there was so much value here. It's pretty comfortable. It's pretty quiet.
Yeah, another example where hybridization just makes an already great car even better.
Right.
Yep. We did touch on the Ford Maverick, just for knowledge here, $28,000 to $41,000. Again, falling under the $50,000 mark. So while we have some luxury models, very nice and worthy luxury models, you don't have to break the bank to get a top pick. And I'm just, we kind of touched on what makes a top pick, and really good performance, great survey information, safety features, good crash test results, and whatnot. And so when you wrap all this up, if you had to take one of our top picks, drive off into the sunset, it's your everyday car.
Oh my gosh.
Which one's it going to be?
I mean, that X5 plug-in hybrid's pretty nice, but maybe a Maverick. Honestly, or something. It's just more useful, right? You got the bed, but
regular hybrid.
Really
hybrid.
Oh, hybrid for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought,
especially now that you can get hybrid with all-wheel drive.
Right.
I'd probably do that.
Right.
But I don't know. It's tough. These are all good, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yes, Mr. Jake.
I already made my choice, right? I got a red Civic Si in the driveway, and the teen boys are driving it, and now are quite competent at driving sticks. So.
Okay. Well, it's not necessarily a dying. Well, it is a dying breed.
It is,
which is too bad. And I just say that I was really conflicted between the Forester hybrid and the NX. Because both of those vehicles are well sized. I don't want a huge 3-row thing.
Yeah.
I want some utility. I want just a touch of ground clearance. I don't want the Toyota Grand Highlander, which is also a top pick. It's just too big for me.
You don't need it.
And I think I'm going with the Lexus NX just because, in case you haven't noticed, I've got some gray hair on me. And as I'm getting older, I just want a nicer cabin. I want nicer seats. I want more sound insulation. I want to be coddled a little bit, I suppose.
You deserve it.
Well, yeah, don't I now? And so, but I struggled between those and the Civic Hybrid because of the Civic Hybrid. Again, if the seats in the Civic Hybrid were just a touch better, maybe a little lumbar support, it might have pushed it to my top.
I mean, another choice, a lot of these, again, is like, the high trim versions of those non-luxury vehicles are really compelling.
Right.
So, I mean, you can
Top
get
of the line Camry is going to be
top of the line Camry, top of the line Forester. You do get, nicer seats and nicer finish and stuff like that. And it makes it kind of, you're almost hard pressed on what the practical reason is to get the luxury version.
Yeah,
luxury brand.
And that actually would make kind of an interesting topic for discussion. Would you rather have the top of the line Civic or the bottom of the line Accord?
you went
there.
Okay.
I was going to go like the Acura.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that's an easy choice. The Civic for me.
Okay.
Do you want the Civic or the,
But
Civic Touring or a Integra, the basic Integra?
Right. I'd still probably go Civic. I mean, especially because the size difference isn't.
Well, here's another interesting thing. What you get when you get a top pick. Generally, these are cars that are going to be reliable and sought after, and generally, what you're also going to get is good resale value.
Sure.
Because these are cars that are going to last a long time. Yeah. So when you go to sell it 5-7 years down the road, it's still got a lot of life left in it. And when you talk about the luxury vehicles, they don't have the same resale value. So to that point, like, again, I'm looking at, used Civic SIs, you could sell for almost what you bought because they didn't make a whole lot of them or whatever. But like the Acuras, they do depreciate more.
Yeah. So I should buy a 2-year-old Lexus NX.
I'm really hanging on. You said the SI is a dying breed, and I think us here and the whole Talking Cars audience, we could really turn that around if we just all bought Civic SI.
Well, yeah. I mean, we had that semi-depressing meeting with Volkswagen where we were talking about the GTI and they dropped the manual transmission. One of the executives looked at me. It's like, if you can convince 10,000 people to buy it, then we'll make it. I'm like, oh.
It's like a GoFundMe for manuals, right?
Yeah. Listen, I changed my answer from before.
Oh, you're not allowed. It was locked in.
I was going to borrow your Maverick, so I didn't have to have a pickup truck.
Final answer. You were locked
I could
in.
get a Maverick and a Civic for the price of that X5 I mentioned. So
that's true.
How's that?
You had the courage, I guess, to mention the X5, and I was thinking, Alex knows how much these things cost when the warranty's over, right?
Yeah.
That's the most frightening
you didn't
thing.
say
We're
you
not
had to keep
talking
it
about
that long.
leasing. Yeah, we could lease something
I
like
said
that.
you're going to drive off into the sunset. Let's just say you got to drive this car every day for whatever. But yeah,
Changing the rules.
yeah, I guess I was a little vague about
right
that.
as I get over the horizon, park it, get out, and
Well, you can talk about buying a luxury car, used luxury car, because the values drop pretty quick. That might be your case with the X5.
sure. But I mean, it's kind of bucking that trend a little bit in terms of reliability, right? Especially some of these newer BMWs. Just and yes, by and large, the luxury models do depreciate more, but maybe the trend will be less.
Well, and it's not even just like the reliability of the X5. It's when it's out of warranty.
The cost of ownership.
Ownership,
Yes.
just servicing. I mean, a set of brakes for the X5 is going to be very different than the Maverick.
Right.
Oh yeah, and all of these top picks are on consumerreports.org. And speaking of consumerreports.org, we were talking about the improvements that we've made to our website and some of the information that's newly available. And Jake, if you could you let's talk a little bit about our new safety verdict.
So safety is really confusing. There's so much safety information, right? It's a 4-star this, top safety pick plus this. It's got all these pieces of equipment. And if you look at like, the automakers, it's like, oh, it's got lane this and lane that and whatnot. It's really hard to figure out like what really makes the difference. So we kind of looked at all this information. So Emily Thomas, the head of our auto safety, she kind of like, just laid out everything. What's really making a difference? Talking with other, organizations like the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety, looking at data. What are the things that are actually saving lives?
Making a difference.
Making a difference. Because there's a lot of, it's so hard to figure out too, because it's like, there's so much stuff that sounds good, but it really doesn't help you. There's stuff that really does make a difference. So basically we kind of looked at all those things and kind of organized all the cars in kind of like basic, better, and best. And which cars are in the best category are the ones that have the safety equipment, have the crash tests, have all the things that really do make a difference. So on our site now, if you look at each one of the cars, you don't just have the laundry list. What you have is kind of like this quick of like, yeah, this car, it's got all the good stuff. And that's roughly like 20% of the cars. Like they really are, they have the crash, protection, they have the equipment. And then if it's not in that, we lay out very simply like, it's missing this and that. And we let you know what this car is lacking. And it might be, it doesn't do well in crash tests. It might be that it doesn't have standard safety equipment that's really going to save your butt. And we just try to really simplify it. So I invite people to take a look and look at it through that lens, because we're trying to digest all this information for you, so you're not just left with a laundry list.
Consumer Reports has a long history of advocating safety. Always buy the most safety you can afford is what we've said for years and years and years.
I love that it includes a lot of aspects of our testing, right? Like there's the equipment and there's the crash tests that IHS does, but we're also talking about braking performance that we do here at CR and some other factors too that really
and one thing that maybe a lot of people don't think about, like, I mean, I think there's so much almost this old school way of like, hey, the safe car is the biggest one, right? But we find a lot of those big cars, they don't stop very well, they don't go around corners very well, and that's a safety issue, or maybe they're more prone to rollover. The other aspect, which I think could be surprising to a lot of people, is they say like, oh, let me get a Mercedes-Benz because they're really safe. We may not say that's the safest car because the controls are so complex and distracting.
I'm glad you brought that
up.
up.
You might be just very distracted while you're driving, just doing simple things, trying to change the radio station or something like that. That can be a safety issue. So it's a different lens, I think, than generally people think about when they're like, more metal, more better.
To bring up controls and to kind of group them together as a safety issue is super, super important, because it's not bad controls it's not like anti-lock brakes or stability control. No, it's you're taking your focus away from your driving.
It's not it's beyond annoyance.
Right.
And we hear this from consumers all the time, and they're looking at, I want to buy a new car because it's got this giant, touch screen that has everything, and it's not good. And it may have showroom appeal, it looks futuristic, but people, we hear this all the time from consumers, but it's not just annoying.
Right.
It's safety.
Right. So you the audience, please go to consumerreports.org, look up the new safety verdict. It will you'll learn a lot. Years ago, the word was always like, oh, Volvo is the safety car. I remember Jake, you probably think I'm sucking up, but he actually really did say these things. He said there's
someone's listening to me.
Both of these things can be true.
Your kids wouldn't believe you're right and you have so much vision, but you said there's a lot of companies that do just as much or more safety than Volvo, and that isn't disrespecting Volvo.
Sure,
but you pointed out that Volvo shouldn't have like the only blue ribbon for safety.
Right.
Quince, if you don't mind, like Jake, you're talking about maybe not wanting to buy a new car, and then we're talking about price and giant screens and things like that. I'd also like to mention used car top picks. That goes up at the same time, right? I mean,
sure.
Yes, this top picks list is new cars specifically, but more and more are people looking for used cars, and rightfully so, right? This $50,000 transaction price we're talking about. And there's tremendous value to be had in certified pre-owned cars and things like that. So I would just, at the same time, go on our site, cr.org, and look for the used car top picks as well, because that's really good information. You'll still read about reliability and how it did in certain tests and whatnot. But it can really help whittle down your used car shopping too.
And while these new car top picks are the new car top picks for 2026, and they hang around for a year, the used car top picks we change every month because used car prices change quite often.
Yep.
New car prices, not so much.
Exactly. Yep.
We've got the full list, including videos and all of our coverage. Go to consumerreports.org and check it out. And now this is the great time of our podcast where we talk about audience questions. We love your questions. Text 30-second videos. Just go to cr.org/talkingcars. That's cr.org/talkingcars. And if we use your question on the podcast, we'll send you a free t-shirt, some auto test swag, something we've got locked away in a closet somewhere. So keep those questions coming. And we've got one from Kamal who writes, just wondering if you have any advice on how to buy a car that is too far away to look at in person. And Alex, I'm going to turn to you to give Kamal some expert advice.
Sure. First of all, if you're buying a new car, that's easier, right? In the sense of they're by and large all the same. So you could go test drive one locally, even though you might be looking to purchase one that's at a different dealership. But I'm assuming you're talking about used. And this is definitely becoming more popular, trying to buy cars online, whether it's an auction site or just looking at listings online. And I think I'd be remiss to not say first go to cr.org and pick something that's reliable, right? So that you have the best chance.
In fact, you'd be in trouble if you didn't say that.
Right here. No, but
well then.
I think, yeah, you're going to have the best chances of ending up with a car that's going to serve you well if you start with something that, you know, is maybe a used car top pick, for example, or something that is reliable, right? So start there. But I think really after that, it's really about just getting thorough documentation, whether it's about the service life of the vehicle, where did it come from, where is it now? Get pictures, videos, as much information that you can get, see the car running. And also I think, remember too, that at this point you're almost buying, in a sense, like the ownership history just as much as you are the car itself. So you talk with the person who's selling the car, try to understand whether it was well taken care of. And
do you have receipts of all the work you've done for
Yeah,
it? And
right.
can you scan it and email it to me?
Right, and they might not. And at that point, you're kind of left up to make a decision on how important that is to you and all that. But you know, things like Carfax are always helpful to try to understand the history of the car as best you can. But yeah, it's really, I think, documentation. And, you know, if the person is not answering questions about the vehicle in a way that seems truthful, or they're trying to hide something, you know, just there's so many used cars out there. Don't get too attached to something if the person that you're potentially buying it from is not being, you know, as forthcoming as you'd like.
What about like using your network? Maybe you have friends through social media, cousins, aunts, uncles, whatever that might be in that neck of the woods, and either they look at it for you, or can you ask, do you know a trusted mechanic that could maybe put it up on the lift and look underneath?
Especially if it's at a dealership, that would be particularly not easy, but doable, right? If it's like a private seller, that becomes a little more difficult, perhaps. But it's a good thought.
I always wondered if that was kind of a red flag if a seller, private seller, didn't want you to get it, you know, to take it to a dealer. I don't know if you guys have horror stories about buying used cars or not, but
no, not really. No? I haven't bought too many, but I've never bought one online quite like that without seeing it in person. That is.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah. Good luck to Kamal. Hopefully it works out.
Alex Nyzak, Jake Fisher, coming through like the rent is due. Great job, guys.
What is the rent is due part?
The rent is due. The
rent.
rent.
I heard rent is
coming
due.
Through like the rent is due.
I heard red is due.
Coming through like the rent is due.
I thought it was like red dew.
Oh, jeez. Well, that'll about do it for this episode, which was conducted by super producer Dave Abrams and edited by Andrew I Still Play Hockey Belize, as well as Anatoly the Great Shumsky. As always, check the show notes for more information on the vehicles and topics that we discussed. As a reminder, please keep your questions coming. Go to cr.org/talkingcars. And good news, your favorite podcast, Talking Cars, is going to be broadcast weekly.
Yes.
So that is great for the audience, great for us, because we love doing this. A little bit more work for the video guys, but we can't thank you, the audience, enough for being such loyal and passionate followers. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.